Okay, thank you for that lovely introduction, Breaking Benjamin. Welcome to the Filthy Casuals podcast, or as I like to call it, the Crack'em Cast.
Oh my God, it's the Royal Ramble.
I know. Welcome to the Royal Ramble, everybody. Our
Episode
second
2, don't forget that part, yep. Good
with
man.
us, indefinitely, the man with no name, Luke.
Who's that?
I said Luke.
Oh, I missed that. Hi, how's everybody doing tonight?
And slightly to the right of him, on the bass, the man with no reason to live, Roger.
That's a sadly true statement. How's it going?
And I'm the man with no introduction, Jeff. And now here's Johnny.
Am I Johnny? I thought I had no name. You gotta make up your mind, bro.
God damn it.
Told you it's the Kraken cast.
Alright.
I'm drunk.
Crack 'em. Alrighty, man, that didn't take you long. Alright, so, for those one of you who were here last week, things a little different this week. Obviously, we've lost Sean for the week. Family stuff, that kind of thing. He's
I thought we literally lost him, like
No,
he's a child in the store.
Death in the family.
We went to Walmart, and next thing we knew, Sean wasn't there.
everything's good. He's just got some stuff going on this week, so he could not join us, unfortunately. That being said, we still got a great lineup of things to talk about tonight. I thought one more time we might do it about games again, if that's all right with everybody. It's kind of our forte.
I thought we were talking about cookies.
Shit. I really
Fuck.
wanted to discuss the last episode of Golden Girls.
Texture of peanut butter cookies
Golden
versus
Girls?
chocolate chip.
Not Golden Girls. The Golden Girls.
I'm gonna cut this off right now. We don't need to talk about this.
That's next week. We talk about hairstyles.
Yeah, we'll talk about makeup techniques and all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, so this week I'd like to start us off with would annual games benefit from taking a year off? Anybody want to
No.
start?
No,
No.
they wouldn't.
Okay.
I mean, look at Assassin's Creed. That got delayed so long. And it still came out buggy as hell.
Are we talking about the original or are we talking about something else?
Talking about the latest.
Uh,
It was delayed. It was delayed for a while. People were like, oh, it's going to come out better. This is going to be good. And faces are missing. You know? You delay a game for like a year and you're like, yeah, it's good now. And then like the face is gone. And you give children nightmares for years from these floating eyes. You know, I mean, I think some could, but I don't think on a team that large it would benefit. A small team, yes. A large team, no. They're too fragmented.
That's still making a game every year. It's just delayed. I mean, if they took off a year and tried to come up with, and this isn't even like Assassin's Creed. I'm thinking like Call of Duty, sports games probably don't benefit as much.
I
But
think sports games would be the hardest to argue that there's any benefit of because they kind of have to stay current. Like, in the moment.
not necessarily. I mean, you could release a game
Those
and
roster
have
updates.
roster updates.
Well, they'd have to make sure the game's actually, like, very well done and functional first. Otherwise, people are just bitch that it's not like last year's, and then they have to make a new one anyway.
Yeah, I guess.
But on the whole, I'm kind of in agreement that a lot of games, if for no other reason, not even taking game quality and things into account, but player fatigue, man. Eventually, and you're already starting to see it with stuff like Call of Duty, and player numbers are starting to drop, sales are starting to drop. People are just getting tired of it. Give them some breathing room before you drop another big one on them. It's the same thing that happened to the rhythm games when Guitar Hero and Rock Band were huge, and then so many got released, and it was yearly and what have you, and then you got player fatigue, and now they're finally starting to. There's some actual hype for them coming back. So I think more than anything,
That was because they gave us time to miss them.
exactly. Give us a little time to miss it. I'd probably play Call of Duty again if I didn't see one on the shelf every 8 months.
But that goes with supply and demand. They only put it on because they know people are going to buy it.
Exactly. We talked about that before. It's
Just take me out of the desert. Just get me out of the fucking desert, and I'll buy you again.
So if we had Call of Duty Amazon
Oh.
Jungle, would you be in for that?
I think Call of Duty Home and Garden is a very good title, and I'm trying to sell this product. All right.
Fan of Call of Duty boats. But
Call of Duty, shut up and jam.
dude, I would play the shit out of that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a blanket case for whether or not they could benefit from a year off, but I think there can be arguments made either way. I think after last year, WWE probably could have benefited from a year off.
Yeah.
But
I'm the minority in this group where I haven't played a WWE game since 64.
Get on it!
don't play 2K15 on the Xbox One or the PS4.
But on the PC.
Are you making a joke there? I don't know much about the PC version.
No, if I could play it, I would.
Oh, well, there you go. But you're a whore for WWE. You're not exactly unbiased in this argument.
I guess. I don't know how our viewer listeners stack up.
Viewer listeners? They've become one?
They listen with their eyes.
So, while we're talking about things going away,
Speaking of viewers and things going away,
oh, trust me, they're running for the hills right now. But should exclusives go away? Console exclusives, games exclusive, even timed exclusives, any of that, is that a blight, or is there an argument to be made, or
I think it's stupid.
I'll go last on this. I have the opposite opinion of Jeff.
I
So,
think it's a good idea in some cases, but I think you just piss off a majority of your fan base.
I think there's two separate schools of thought on this. And I think it's the two separate schools of thought that have brought us the Xbox One and the PS4, and then the school of thought that brought us the Wii U. I think absolutely in Nintendo's case, they should keep exclusives, specifically because they're built around the functionality and how different an
Well,
experience
yeah.
you can have over there. Whereas the Xbox One and the PS4 are so damn close in specs and technology and functionality that there's literally no point in having an exclusive there. They're the same exact system. Almost. So I think yes and no. I think when the systems are as closely matched in specs, functionality as the Xbox and the PlayStation lines have become, there's literally no point to having an exclusive. In fact, they should probably just partner up at this point. They're not making anything different, so it doesn't matter.
I'm talking about like for instance, there was that whole thing with Bloodborne where it was like PS4 for a while, and then like the PC community was like, okay, this is fucking bullshit. We deserve this on the PC and everything, and I don't know, it's like, why would you pay so much money to keep it on your system, to keep it on your your home court for like breaking rights?
It's to force sales. I mean, that's the only point. If you have something that people want to play that's only available on your hardware, then the people are going to buy your hardware, and you're not making money on the hardware, but you're getting them to be your customers, in which case they'll be more willing or more able to purchase future software, which is where you really make the money. So it's a big looping design to get you to spend more money on one system over another. And
well, I think if a game is like paid for by the owners, like Xbox wants to make a game, Microsoft wants to make a game, and they pay all the money for it, there's no problem with them making it exclusive. If you're spending your own money investing in that title, and you say, I want it on my system because I think this game's worth me spending $2 million making, $3 million making, then why not? If it's their money, it's their staff's.
It's their money and they need it now. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm in a different commercial. Go ahead.
So it's their money. They invested in it. They're willing to take the risk and drop, $2-3 million making this game, and they want to see that return on their investment. If the game is that good and they believe in it and they believe it can sell systems, there's no problem with them having it be an exclusive.
I just want to, on a completely different side note, Jeff, I just finally got my Smite beta codes.
Yeah, I actually got a message on that too, so I don't know if they're the same codes I got in the email or not, but
well, I didn't get an email.
2 new beta codes.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, back to the subject matter at hand.
Random as fuck.
Sorry. Just popped up on me while I was sitting here. Go for it.
Things
Well,
have honestly been worse.
they have.
And with the exclusion of Sean, I'm sure we can have about 5 minutes of rambling for no apparent reason.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, you have a point there. If it's an in-house development, there's absolutely no reason for it not to be an exclusive because it was built specifically.
Timed
Yeah.
exclusives are one don't make sense to me.
Timed exclusives don't make any fucking sense to me at all. If you're gonna release on multiple consoles, just release on multiple consoles. Don't shaft people for a limited amount of time when they know it's coming. You're not. The whole point of an exclusive is to sell a particular system. If you're gonna half-ass it and be like, yeah, we're gonna release all the content now or the whole game now on this system, but you guys could get it in 6 months. Those other people aren't going to buy the system, which is the whole point of an exclusive. They're just gonna wait 6 months and get the game.
Yeah.
You've proven nothing. And then when you get to like Destiny levels of time exclusives, where it's certain content, when you're just gating content out of your players for one system over the other, then you're just pissing people off more than anything at that point.
Yeah, it's
I mean, it got to the point
not many.
when I was still playing that. It got to the point where I would go on message boards and people would talk about the Sony only stuff, and even the PlayStation owners were like, "This is kind of bullshit, man. I mean, I don't feel right about us having access to this where you guys get only partial of what's completed to this game because of some timed exclusivity. It just it doesn't feel
I
right."
refuse to believe people on the internet said, "I'm sorry." Like
You were never on Destiny boards when it launched. It
No.
happened a lot.
I'm sorry. I feel like it's one of those like, "I'm sorry, Kappa," like sarcastic as fuck. "I'm
It
sorry,
really
you don't get
wasn't-
it." You know, and they're sitting there jerking off while they're saying
Well,
it, like they're so excited.
the thing was, Destiny had so little content to begin with. It's gotten better now, but it had so little content to begin with that even if you had like that extra 0.01%, the extra strike and like 2 other maps for multiplayer that PlayStation owners
yeah.
got, it's so little that like every single drop of content counts. So it's the same as like when you look at the homeless man and you know like 50 cents will mean so much to him even though it's not as a big deal to you. That's a terrible fucking analogy, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
That got dark real quick, but
probably not would have led with that.
It's like when you have to kill a man for a loaf of bread. No. No, it's like,
point being, there's such a there's so little content in that game when it launched that every little bit mattered. So you know, sitting up in the slightly higher tower looking down made you feel bad because there was so little there to begin with.
I don't know. I think as a PC gamer, when I saw that all happen, my thought was, "I'm sorry you bought this game. I'm sorry it exists."
The only thing that bugs me about Destiny is the fact that they spent like $250 million or something on it.
Yeah, but it's that whole syndrome that we're getting with a lot of AAA titles, where a lot of that's going into marketing, not the game.
I could bring up. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna do that. That seems like a
Regardless,
argument for another day.
that's stupid money.
That's stupid amount of money
It's
in
stupid
any
amount.
sense, but I mean, if you're going to spend that kind of money, I think you would want it to be in the product being of the top quality before you start marketing something that doesn't actually exist. Because that's what they did. They started marketing Destiny and it became a completely different game, and so everybody was expecting one game, which they were excited for, and what they got was so cut down from that.
Yeah, but isn't that what games these days are? Is just fucking
Look,
PR
that's
nightmares.
that's an argument I don't really want to have right now. We can save that for another. That's not in the topic list this week, and we can have that discussion later.
Sorry, it's not on the syllabus for class today.
Yeah,
I'm
it's not.
sorry.
It's not in the syllabus this week, Jeff. Let's put that in next week's overview.
Fuck you! I made the syllabus.
We need ideas.
That being the case, though, why is subject matter a bigger issue in games than it is in other forms of media, movies, TV, that kind of thing? Why is it such a big deal?
Well, it's a specific case. It's like, you go see a rated R movie. Girl gets her titties out. Oh, okay, that's cool. Let's bring the whole family. You get an M-rated game, titties come out. Oh, we better fucking censor this shit. Like, there's a double standard in the entertainment
I
industry.
think the difference is the fact that when you're watching a movie, you literally are just an observer, and the feeling is that when you're playing a game, You're acting it out, and that's the difference it makes in the context.
When you're playing the game, you're slashing those boobies off, alright?
Well, I mean, like it's like
Don't try to sit here and piss in my hand and tell me immersion is the difference between
That's not the real
content.
That's not the real issue. As much as I'd like to agree with that, that might be a small
well, to
version
me,
of it.
when it comes to things like nudity, I don't think it's a big a deal. But when it comes to something like the big bait clicker hatred,
Yeah.
the context of that game wasn't like fun or friendly. It was very serious, very fuck you, even though it was a bad game.
Yeah.
And the bad thing, horrible game. Not just in context, just it itself.
In execution as well.
Yes.
Ah, execution.
Ah.
That's it. Podcast done. Everybody go home.
Da 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 da. But
No, it's the fact that you're acting these out with that serious tone as opposed to Postal, which was very much more lackadaisical and whimsical about it. That's what separates the difference to me as far as those two go. Playing the devil's advocate.
Here's what really separates the different in content in games versus everything else. Games are still viewed as child's playthings. They haven't been evolved. They're starting to finally, but they haven't really evolved into a spot where they're not kids stuff, and that's
It's
why
not. It's not the fucking ESRB that regulates censored and nudity and shit. It's the developers themselves. Look at Saints Row. They had, an M-rated game, and then they chose to, pixelate boobies.
and dicks.
Well, I understand that.
I don't. If you're gonna, that's a double standard
Yeah.
right there. If you're not gonna censor one, don't censor the other.
Well, at that point you kind of get,
Struggling for words.
It all goes.
no,
it,
I got a really weird text that made me double take.
It goes back to the same point, though. It's what's going to sell in stores, and your stores aren't going to stock something that's not going to appease the masses, basically, that they're not going to move off shelves most of the time. That's why there's perfectly fine games with fine content that you don't see at major retailers because they're so niche or they're so under the radar, they're not going to sell, so they don't bother stocking them. If you put something with questionable content and with games still being viewed as kids stuff, that you have a lot of parents going in to buy for their children. If you push that line too far, that's just not going to get stocked, and you don't sell your game. So it's a business decision based on the fact that this is still viewed as a kid's hobby.
That'll go away in time, though. I think like we're the last generation that's really going to suffer from that train of thought.
To an extent, I can agree with that. I think it's as those of us who've spent so much time growing up with them start to be the generation of parents, you're definitely right on that side of things. But it's still something that's an issue now.
So are things going to get worse then?
No,
Or
things will get
things-
better.
I think they might get a little worse before they get better. As the old generation, as they do with all kinds of tech stuff, is going to go kicking and screaming with one last harumph before those of the generations that even us and after us that have grown up with the ever-changing technology are a little bit more lenient towards, if you will.
It would be interesting to see some games have like an option to where they're like, you remember Brutal Legend had that option in the options that you could turn off blood and swearing,
Yes.
and then it didn't necessarily censor it, just made the game different.
Yes.
It would be nice to have that kind of option, but I realize
Remind
that
me
it's,
of that,
it's not as policed.
Remind me of that Gears of War one that Penny Arcade did. The gore.
Use your words.
The gore sensor on the comic they did, where he
Oh,
cuts
yeah,
the locust
yeah.
in half and the rainbow's coming out instead
Rainbow,
of blood.
yeah.
Your mother
Yeah,
is
I
a
remember
classy lady. Yeah, I mean it's just, but that to answer that question at its core, it's still the last vestiges of this being kid stuff and generations that are still largely unacquainted with gaming beyond Mario. I mean,
The Marios? There's games other than Mario?
yes, not all of them are Nintendos. I can tell you that right now. And I mean, Roger and I can see this firsthand still being in the retail industry, how much this is still widespread, that people just view it as kid stuff, that you know, so many played
Yeah, I
maybe
guess
when
I
they
can
were
understand that.
kids and then got out of it for years and then they had
They
kids.
generalize
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. So I mean that's the long and short on that, but anyway, gentlemen, one last thing about gaming, the design of games and things like that. Do shorter games hurt the prestige of the game, or do they cater to low attention spans, or is there an argument to be made for the conciseness of a game?
Wait, say that again? That was a long question.
Yes, do shorter games hurt prestige? The
Okay.
renown of a game, or cater to low attention spans, or is there an argument that can be made for concise games having a larger place than they have now?
That
Roger,
largely
would you like to
depends.
start us?
Yeah, that largely depends on your audience. I mean, like, look at people like me and you, Luke. I mean, you could say Binding of Isaac can be beaten in like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. You've beaten the game.
On a good run.
Yeah, on a good run. It's like what I have right now. You can beat it real quick.
Look, I don't want to know
Um,
about that because I already have the video off, and I don't want to know how good you're doing a fucking again. All right.
You're doing great. A game like Nuclear Throne, you can loop in, 20 minutes. Oh my god, what a bad game. But you realize we've both put in over 80 hours into Isaac, and I've already put in 15 hours into
Put
Nuclear Throne.
130 hours in the original Isaac, but that's not really the point.
Yeah, so I mean, like, just because the game is technically short doesn't mean it's not valid and good. I mean, you can even look
Well-
at the Telltale games, too, where the story is
Well,
really
yeah.
good. Even though the game itself is short, it's still a fun game. Or Hotline Miami.
Jeff,
Funny you should bring up Hotline Miami too, because I was playing that earlier.
What
But
a
it's gonna be
segue.
on YouTube soon from the Filthy Casuals.
well, not the first one, but
You're doing two, right?
yeah, I'm probably gonna do two.
Okay.
One is it's not working. out.
Coming soon.
But-
behind
We
the
got, we,
scenes.
got, we got the soundtrack vinyl for that.
It's got some pretty good music to it, but
Yeah.
it's you say that it's differs from game to game. Binding of Isaac, yeah, I've put a bunch of hours into that too, but if the developer consciously puts in some good replay value or gives you a reason to keep playing it, like I don't
Use your
I don't
words,
think
Jeff.
I don't think I have like one particular example here, but like even RPGs these days seem to go by in like 20, 30 hours, which is kind of ridiculous considering the scope of some of
Only
these
20
games.
or 30
Yeah.
hours.
Consider how long games used to be, like on the 64 and the Genesis, and even the first PlayStation. You'd be like, "Oh, I got 5 hours into this game. That's great. I spent $60 on this."
I spent in
you know,
2015 money $80 on this.
yeah, and it was perfectly fine. Like that was acceptable to have a game that was only that long, and attitudes have changed. That when people do want like, "Oh, this game's only 25 hours long,"
But
I
I'm
feel ripped
saying,
off.
would you justify paying $60 for a game that you can beat in like 2 hours, and it doesn't have that much of a replay value?
I can say I have, or pretty close to that $60 for that, because I bought the original Orange Box, which came out at 40, right?
Yeah.
So I bought that full price specifically for Portal, which is beatable in under 2 hours. I honestly didn't care. I mean, it was nice to have Team Fortress and Half-Life, but I didn't give a shit about any of them. I bought it for Portal.
See, I tend to go back. I tend to go for games that I can sit down and knock out the chunk of the story, and then they have enough in the game to, span out for another 20 hours or so.
Yeah, but I mean, to make my point
But
that I
there's-
was making there is if the game is good enough, even with those specific restrictions you just put towards it, then I can absolutely see myself spending the money on it.
But I'm just saying you're seeing the surplus of games that are coming out. There's just like they're short stories, maybe with the addition of multiplayer, and then they have these the DLC that extended a little bit, like Destiny. Look at Destiny. That was a $60 game, and they had like nothing.
Yeah, that I mean, I could see.
I hate
where
going
you're-
back to Destiny again, but
I
we
can
could
see-
probably make a lot of references
Yes,
towards
we
it.
definitely can, because that's an expert. That is a masterpiece in how not to design a game in this day and age, except for actual moment-to-moment gameplay. Moment-to-moment gameplay in that game is very well designed. Everything else is a pile of horse shit, or at least it was when we all stopped playing about 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
That being said, I think the problem is, Jeff, it's got to be a game-to-game thing. If the game is good enough to stand on its legs, Mirror's Edge is another example that was a full-price release when it came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that game was maybe 4 or 5 hours, maybe on your first run through, and taking your time a little bit, closer to 6 or 7. It's still really relatively short, even by that day and age's standards. But it was absolutely worth the purchase price because it was a damn good game.
Okay, but that logic, then what makes it a good game?
This is going to be one of those cop-out answers that you're not going to like, but it's the sum of the parts.
Okay,
Because
I guess I can live with that.
and the reason I would bring that up, let's go back to Destiny again. Destiny, at its very core, is a great game because the moment-to-moment gunplay is always exciting, always fun. It's enjoyable moment to moment. But every other piece of that is a negative, which brings the game down as a whole. Other than graphically, it looks pretty damn good. But then you get a game like Mirror's Edge, which is a little floaty, but a pretty decent story. A solidly fun moment-to-moment gameplay, and it ends up being so much more than the sum of its parts just because they come together nicely. Or Portal even more so. Very simple premise with an antagonist you enjoy but is still your enemy, and a decent, if bare-bones story, and you get this great 2-hour game that launched another franchise for Valve, It's really a sum of its parts thing.
I'm going to say different strokes, different folks. So there's some games people won't put that time into, and others they will.
Mm-hmm.
And while I would not pay $40 for the orange box for Portal, Luke obviously would.
I did. It's
I
not even a
did.
joke. I did it twice because I bought a copy for someone else too.
I guess I can understand that.
I just like, but you get the flip side of that. You get a game like Call of Duty that has a ton of replayability if you enjoy the multiplayer. I mean, obviously, like you said, different strokes, but assuming you enjoy the multiplayer, it's got a ton of replayability, a shorter campaign, but it just does not equal a sum that's as good as the parts. The gameplay itself isn't bad. The story is, passable for an average war story and all that, but you get kind of a little bit less than the sum of its parts most of the time with that series.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating though.
Well, if your and Connor's games last night were any indication, it gets old incredibly quickly now.
It gets old, you said?
Yeah, I'm talking specifically with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
You guys seem to check out really quickly into your session last night.
It differs.
In fact,
it depends on what's.
if my count is correct, about 3, maybe 4 games in, Jeff, you were just parking in a corner and reading Reddit. So.
Well, no. I mean, to quickly summarize, to be fair, I was trying to do a shotgun challenge which is hard on its own, and then we were playing Infection, which basically is I'm gonna hide, and if I die, then I die.
Fair enough. Game type variants. I see what you're saying there. Anyway, we're getting off track here. That was
We have more than enough time to get off track.
Oh, I know,
Shut up.
but I want to.
Don't call it the Royal Ramble for no reason.
Look, we've done an amazing job of rambling so far. Trust me. All right. We are no strangers to that. What the
This
fuck
is
were
just
we
turning
talking
into
about?
the Onion.
Game time. That's what we were talking about. That was what we were talking about, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
The length of games. That
Yeah,
you feel
I don't know. Either that or just beekeeping in general.
I mean, like, The Witcher 3, which I haven't gotten to play that one, but I have dabbled in the other two. I'm sure it's a fantastic game, at least on par with the quality of the other two, if not better from what I hear. And it's got a ton of gameplay, and it works for that game, but hundreds of hours of gameplay and something else could just, depending on how the game is made, be a negative because
I mean, why do you think
boring.
Morrowind was so revered? There was a shit ton of stuff to do.
Because you could walk up mountains.
Not very easily, no.
I thought it was because I could become a werewolf, personally, but.
And now
whatever.
we're proving Jeff's point. Look, go ahead, Jeff.
Look, I like Morrowind. Go fuck yourself.
I think we all like Morrowind. Is there anybody present on this podcast who doesn't like Morrowind, or not present? Because I know Sean likes Morrowind.
No? I don't see hands.
All right, I don't see any hands either, so I think we're all in agreement that Morrowind is a good game. How did we get on the subject of Morrowind?
Fucking Jeff, that's how.
I'm not surprised. Jeff usually steers the conversation towards Morrowind. We'll be at lunch, eating sandwiches. He's like, you know what this tomato reminds me of? Do you remember that one part in Morrowind?
So Luke, with a great segue, what's the next topic?
Whoa. Alright, you want me to seg from that, huh?
Yeah. Let's see you go, Mr. Host.
Since we seem to be so sure of ourselves and what makes games good, how about if we describe our perfect game?
That was a stretch, but
Everything I'm doing on this show is a stretch. Just go with it, okay?
That's the premium subscription price. You have to pay him in gold. But don't worry.
Sean, I'd like to hear your 2 cents. He's with us here in spirit.
He is. So who wants to start this one? Because
How about you start, bitch face?
I was gonna say I don't really know what would make my perfect game because my tastes tend to vary so frequently. I'll spend a month binging on RPGs and playing like 6 of them simultaneously, and then I won't touch them for 6 months. So I think my perfect game
I don't
is more
know.
in the moment.
I don't know if there's a game like it, and if there's not, I'm sure it would be incredibly difficult to make, but it would be interesting. I think it would be interesting for a game to kind of change dramatically as time goes on, like an ever-evolving game.
You mean like Fable?
No. I mean dramatically changing. Like
I'm fucking with you. I know what you mean.
like 1 minute, you're sitting there playing a basketball game, and then suddenly aliens come out of nowhere. No, I don't.
That sounds horrible.
Destroy
I
all
know it.
humans during an NBA game. Is that what we're getting at here?
No. But in all seriousness, it would like.
I think he's saying he loves Gary's mod. Is his favorite
I think
of all time.
what he's getting at is
Gary's
something
mod's
like
not really a game though. It's more of
Exactly.
it's an
a
experience.
social experience.
I think what he's getting at is something like an RPG that actually had legitimate, far-reaching consequences to your actions that weren't just like scripted events but could dramatically change the environment. Towns can be razed because you killed all the guards in the city and there was no one to protect them from an invasion. Things like that.
I want my actions to have real consequences.
Rather than scripted consequences.
Yes.
The problem with that is that's like
I realize, and as I was talking with Connor about this the other day, that I mean it would be a great idea to have, but
it's more
the amount of coding and the branching would be so numerous that it's hard to make.
Yeah, it's just like once you get to a certain point, because of all the different variations of decisions and things like that, it would just become so exponentially larger, so frequently with each iteration you add in that it'd be too massive to really.
I
Just
think
put
what
anywhere.
you want, Jeff, is an MMO.
I was just about to say that. I think it would be great on like a grand scale, and everybody combining their
Voltron?
experiences. Everybody combining their experiences to shape the world around them instead of the developers integrating new ideas.
I think what Jeff wants is to just turn the real world into a giant MMO.
It seems like it.
See, you're being facetious, and I get that, and that's cool.
But it sounds awesome.
And I'll deal with you later. We'll fucking take it on the court, homie.
All right, we'll
But,
take it on the court. I'll beat your ass again.
Again.
Just like every
For
time.
those of you who weren't here, previously on Dragon Ball Z.
Look, we're not doing that this time. All right,
Roger.
Roger. What's your perfect game, mate?
My perfect game was XCOM. Let's
It's
go.
it's already
I'll
it's
give
already
you an
been made.
actual
It's
title.
already out.
Well, I mean, like it's hard to like theory crap and say what's perfect, but I had to think of what game did I enjoy most growing up and playing that I put the most time in, and that truly was XCOM, where we put in hundreds of hours sitting at a computer eating burnt pizza that we cooked wrong, And I mean, the fact that it felt there was actual consequence, it was horribly difficult. The things that like I really enjoy in games, and when you fucked up, it was partially your fault that you messed up, not always just the game. There was sometimes the game.
I really do have to get into that.
So Jeff, here's a question, and Roger, here's another question for you. Why don't you answer the way the other one answered? Jeff,
way
what's your perfect game that actually exists or is close to it? And then Roger, what would be your perfect ideal game?
Oh, I guess I'm taking the helm on this one.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
I hate to say it, I really do. Half-Life.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna go there, and I understand exactly why. But for the ladies and gentlemen and midgets that don't identify with any gender at home, why don't you go ahead and elaborate?
it, when I first played it as a kid, I wasn't the cynical bastard that I am now, obviously, and so I didn't scrutinize it in every physical form. But as a kid, it was as close to perfection. I mean, it had problems, obviously, but they had such a level of quality in it that really made me, I don't know, excited to explore places that I wasn't meant to explore and stuff. It really made me want to look beyond
Find
the
the clitoris.
typical first-person shooter kind of thing.
Absolutely. All right, Roger, your ideal game.
my ideal game. Ooh. God. I want an MMO I can play again. Like,
You want Phantasy Star Online 2 to come to America?
no. No. Like, I'm trying to think real hard because there's so many places my mind goes because I don't just play one type of game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we all play different things all the time. And the first thing I think of is like I want another really good roguelike, but I already play Isaac. I play Nuclear Throne. Like I play all these other games like this.
You
But I really love Fallout, and I just get this ADD where I'm like, I want everything. But then again, that sounds horrible when I think about it. Like I want a roguelike that's ever changing, but also I want branching storylines. I'm like, no, this is a horrible idea.
We really want
That's-
things that are not really possible in
Yeah.
typical definitions.
with-
You can't
current-
describe, and
yeah.
even then describing like your perfection, like what's the perfect cake, and you describe it, and then one day you eat a different one, you're like, oh my god, this was so much better.
Well, no,
This is
I
more
think the
perfect.
problem is, I think the problem is we describe what we really want, and then if somebody actually made it, it's still not good enough because
It doesn't match the dream.
we're ever chasing perfection. But
Absolutely.
I did have a question that wasn't on the itinerary.
Hold on, I haven't answered yet.
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
Go on, Jeff. No.
Yeah.
Fuck y'all.
Fuck your stupid opinion. This is gonna be stupid. It's gonna be something like Binding of Isaac.
What? All right. You know what? Just fuck you. I quit. No. I'll answer it both
Get
ways.
him.
I'll answer it both ways as well. And actually, Isaac Rebirth was going to be one of those answers. It is, for me, a game that I can endlessly never get tired of. And that's kind of, in my head, what I feel out of what's out now. It's what I want out of a game. It's a game I can keep going back to, and the well never runs dry for me. But while thinking about that, there's also another type of game that I really, really love, and it is kind of my idea of perfection too. And that's a game that takes itself does so little of itself seriously that it ends up being so over the top awesome that it's an enjoyable, amazing experience. Jeff, you should probably know where I'm going with this at this point, but a game like Metal Wolf Chaos. So,
we have talked about this. I think it's officially ad nauseum.
It's ad nauseum among us now, but for those of you unaware of what Metal Wolf Chaos is, It's a game for the original Xbox, only released in Japan. And you play as the President of the United States, personally putting down a... what do they call it when you take over somebody's position by force?
A coup.
A coup, thank you. A military coup by the Vice President. You're personally handling it in a mech suit. And it is probably the most American game that was never released in America that you could ever even see.
It's also one of the most balls out crazy demos that I've ever played in my life, and I wish I got to play the full game.
It's a pretty fucking insane game. And the unlockables are just fucking ridiculous, like a gun that shoots rocket. It's a machine gun that also shoots rockets at the same time. That's just one of the many. There's a grenade launcher that shoots explosive footballs. It gets pretty nuts. But yeah, I love games that just take themselves so unseriously. I guess that's not even a word. That magic happens, you know. Kind of like No More Heroes to an extent. It didn't take itself seriously in the least, and you got
that was a great game.
Badass boss fights and all kinds of shit in there. Just because
super stylized.
Yeah.
It was great.
So combining those two things, but I'm not going to. But as for the ideal perfect game, it's kind of down Jeff's path, where a game that would have its own, legitimate consequences to your actions and not just scripted nonsense. But at the same time, I would like to see that done in a style more like Spec Ops, where even though your actions have consequences, doesn't mean they're going to be good or bad one way or the other, or what you view as good may not turn out to be good. I like that kind of twisted on its head type thing.
Like a morale system, but
not binary morale. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that would be the next big step for the industry as a whole to take, to have morale systems that weren't simply, put a kitten through college or murder the kitten's entire family in front of it before beheading it,
But you will get $10.
I do like I do like the Telltale games, so I don't think they're as complex as they could be, rather than just giving you different, different lines every time kind of thing. I think that's kind of where Life is Strange is going, but it's not as complex as it could be either. And like I said, the more complex you get, I think, the bigger the game has to be.
Oh yeah,
which
absolutely.
Sucks.
Absolutely. Every time you add a new path in there, you have to account for every other path you've already added and how they mix and match or don't mix and match. So
it's literally exponential.
Yeah,
it's worse and worse and
exactly.
worse.
Oh. So, Jeff, you said you had a topic that we didn't have previously.
This one kind of caters to you too, because you're more into the scene than I am. But do you guys think that these small, compact, little indie games are, I wouldn't say better than full-fledged retail games, but
yes.
do you think that... I know your answer, but I want you to explain it.
All right, Luke, you go first on this one, then I'll go after you.
Just justify indie games over these, graphically splendiferous,
I'll justify
majestic assholes.
I don't know that I can justify it as a whole, because there's a lot of stuff I don't like in indies as well, as in the AAA. But I think one thing, as pretty as games look, AAA games at least these days look, I think the less heavy focus and even the old retro stylized graphics a lot of them go with really help for them to clean up gameplay, which it doesn't seem a lot of AAA games focus on. They don't seem to care about gameplay and how the game itself functions, as opposed to just making it look nice. And I think,
does it cater to your short attention span?
I don't know what you mean by me having a short attention span, sir. Did you not hear me? I put 130 hours into Isaac. That's not a short attention span.
I know, but
what was that? I wasn't paying attention.
This doesn't rely on like a complicated, complex story, where you're meeting new characters every 5 minutes, and you have to.
It's a different style of play. It's not so much like
it's easy to
look
just
at these
drop
unique
in
characters.
It's easy to just drop in, play for 5 minutes, and get the fuck out.
Yeah, Sorry, go ahead, Roger. You haven't said anything on this yet, so please.
I've been trying.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fuck you, Luke.
I'm trying to be less an oppressive force on the podcast. So.
It's the Royal Interruption Ramble.
No, I mean, while these games are definitely shorter, not all of them have a deep
No,
story.
no, I
That's
think
not
you're-
always true. I mean, look at something like a what was it, Gone Home, where
Yeah.
the poor guy. That's all I'm gonna say about that game. And you get a
Poor
game like
guy.
Isaac.
Oh,
the
that
Throne,
guy. Yeah. Sorry. I
Where,
had to think back to Gone Home. Go ahead.
I was actually thinking of Home for a second.
Yeah,
that
which are
was
very
a
sad
good
stories,
fucking game.
which were good games, And you get Isaac and Nuclear Throne, where they're very much more skill based. There's not so much. There is an overarching story, but it's not deep. But the gameplay is solid. It's really refined. It's really tight, and you can put tons of hours into it because of that.
Well, they're generally
So,
smaller dev teams too, right?
some of them are only dev teams of like 2, so they put their whole heart and soul into
Or if
it.
you're Cave
Yeah.
Story, it's one fucking dude.
Yeah,
You're not getting like a mishmash of creative ideas and shit.
Yeah. Or sterilization due to so many people just churning out the same thing over and over. I mean, you're not going to see creative ideas in a fucking sports game. Sports is pretty well defined. You're just going to keep updating everything. I can see the point there of it being like easier to drop in, drop out, and it's certainly true a lot of the time. My biggest problem a lot of the times that you call a short attention span is that the game usually isn't fun enough, and this kind of goes back to the gameplay thing I said, that for me to like, it seems more of a hassle for me to pick back up rather than enjoyable to see what happens,
Let me cut you off for a second
that
there,
was yeah. Go ahead. I'm
'Cause-
sorry. I'm just can't stop. Go for it.
because I don't know if Roger's getting it, but the audio's kind of weird.
You getting some weird audio over there, Roger?
I'm getting it. Yeah.
Is it better now? Is it worse?
I don't know. You were getting that stopping and then speeding up thing that we used to do before.
Oh my god. Well, if it stopped now, we're good. Anyway, any comment to that? Did you want me to repeat that?
Probably just the last like 20 seconds or so.
Okay, what I was saying is that a lot of the time with the bigger titles, it just feels like more of a hassle to pick the game back up rather than enjoyable to go see what happens. I want to see what happens with, whatever story or anything like that, but it's not necessarily fun enough, or maybe not fun at all for me to just get back into it and finish it up. It's just more like, I'd like to know how that ends, but it's almost work, and that's not why I play games. I play them to have fun.
Well, and even then, like, there's so many indie titles out there that one of them's got to be good. Like, think about all the shit that comes out for AAAs, and there's like 20,000 more indie games coming out, and most of them are crap. But there's enough of them coming out to where you're gonna find that gold.
I think a lot of it too is
That gold is always made by Edmund McMillan, by the way. But go ahead, Jeff.
I think part of the problem with that is green light.
Oh yeah.
Greenlight was such a good idea in theory, but the execution leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
Well, if Steam would, and I'm sure this is a whole nother conversation, but if
Curate
Steam
their
would actually,
fucking store.
not just that, I think Steam just needs an overhaul. Period. Like as a company,
Speaking of that, and a
Valve
little
just needs to fucking
touch back
fix
to
their
last week.
everything.
Roger, I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw it, but I mean, this is kind of hitting the obvious button here. But since Steam refunds have gone into effect, developers are reporting anywhere on average from 25% to like 80% increased refund. Refunds
Yes,
being given.
I did see that.
I personally am not at all surprised, because now that there's a streamlined process, of course people are going to use it.
They had to expect some, at
Yeah.
least.
Not surprised.
Not like,
but I mean, like,
our game's so good, nobody's gonna refund it. Well,
No,
no.
that's not true. In fact, your game might be a big pile of shit and you're just finding out.
I think it could have been worse.
I do think, and I agree with some of the devs that are saying, look, we understand people are going to want refunds, but it would be nice if Steam could provide some kind
Yeah,
of
some
feedback
criticism.
on why it's being refunded. Because right now we don't know. Is it
Exactly.
not working? Do they not like the game? Is there
I
anything
think
I
that
can
should be
learn
a
from?
prerequisite too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like some stores. If you take something back to, especially Walmart, it's like, all right, well, what was wrong with it? Well, I just didn't want it.
Well, even
Okay,
then,
that's
speaking
not.
from like the retail side, that is acceptable. If you go to a store and you say, "I just didn't like this," that's an acceptable reason to
Yeah,
return
but
it.
that's still more than devs are getting off of Steam right now.
Yeah, but I mean, like who's to say if someone said like, I feel like it wasn't representative, the description wasn't representative of what I got. Who are you to say that that's not true for them? While you could see like, if they're doing a whole bunch of them over and over again, that's abuse. But the fact that in any other industry you go to, it is perfectly fine to
Well,
return stuff,
and I don't even
and
think
it's so much of a hassle in this industry.
I don't even think it's that. I don't have a problem so much with the refund thing, but I'm like you said, it's acceptable, but they still ask why. And Steam's not doing that. It's the equivalent of somebody where we work at Target, somebody walking in, slapping pants on the counter, our guy at the register handing him the $12 back, and he walks out with no conversation whatsoever. And you're not learning anything there. You're not learning why it's being returned. You're not being able to build off of the experience so that the next pair of pants isn't returned as much. And I think that's mainly what the devs are asking for is, hey, can you just ask them why? So I can, is the music shite? Do I need to fix that? Is the gameplay not tight? Are they just an asshole? Whatever the reason is, can you find out for us?
These
Or-
I
pants
think
are
if
too
you
tight.
did, I think if you did that as a prerequisite, I'm sure you get a lot of people just saying like, fuck that, I don't want to type that out.
No, I think you get a lot of like bullshit, like from that, like because again, it's the internet. You're typing the reason, and I'm sure Steam would get so many of them in a day. It wouldn't matter. Like, what's the matter with this game? Dead game shit. That was the reason. you know?
Well, put in a drop down, make it easier on them. Game didn't function. That's going to be a common enough issue that should be a drop down. And then they can add in optional comments if they want. That's what a lot of sites do when you do the return function. They have several static expected options, and then anything else you can put in a blank.
Yeah. I mean, it would be good for feedback's sake, but who knows if Steam's ever going to implement that.
Yeah, well. I mean, let's be honest. With Steam, they will. It'll just be, 2030 before there's a feedback system. So.
Knowing how it used to be before to return things, I'm still fine with these teething problems. It used to be hell.
I'm not, I'm absolutely not saying it's a bad thing. I think that the refund system is far overdue, or at least a streamlined process rather than trying to, spend 6 hours on Steam support just to have them tell you to, try turning it off and turning it back on again before they'll give you a refund.
Is it plugged in?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard their customer service is fucking shite.
But, I mean, above and beyond all that, I think it's a good service. I do think, like I said last week, that the way it's implemented now is a little short-sighted, and we're starting to see some of those issues start.
It's a push towards the right direction,
yeah,
but it just needs a few kinks knocked out.
Exactly.
As with anything, really, I
Yeah,
guess.
absolutely. So that
Nothing
was
wrong with a little kink. That's all I'm
Hey,
saying.
hey!
Beyond that,
Let's not have that particular conversation. That's not this type of cast. That'll be on the other one. That being said, gentlemen, since we were talking about perfect and our ideal games, let's go the opposite direction. And what are some big moments you can remember being very frustrated or pissed off at a game for any particular reason?
I wish I remembered my example. Because I thought of this question, I'm like, oh yeah, this would be great. I bet I can get so much shit out of Luke. And I was like, yeah, I got a great idea. I don't fucking remember what it is.
Yeah, Jeff, you just start scripting everything you say on this.
I need to become I need a what stenographer? Yeah, I need one of those.
I don't think you know what a stenographer's job is.
I do.
Okay.
I need somebody to make a mental history, or well, not a mental, but
a mental history.
a
Type this mental
physical
history.
history of everything that I say. Brain, write this down.
Who the fuck
So-
is Brain?
So frustrating as
The
far as
dog
like
from Inspector Gadget.
Oh, okay.
as far as like gameplay wise, or as far as like
Just
What?
frustrating moments in general.
Yeah.
I mean, did a trailer really get your dick hard, and then the game was just the exact.
Like, did you play Superman 64 and couldn't get into the rings, and you're just like, where's the gun?
I was gonna. Yeah, that's better than my example. Let's just go with that.
I mean, I'm sure as far as like older games go, yeah, there's a shit ton of frustration in that. But
I'm not having any particular moments that are coming to me right now.
Frustration. I remember when I realized that I didn't want to play WoW anymore, and I was like, "This is dumb." To me, at
what
least
was
at
the
that
last
time.
straw?
The last straw was when I was trying to get leather so I could make an object. I had to kill these dragons and get these certain scales, and they only dropped one out of so many.
You sure you've
And
been
I
playing
sat there.
Minecraft?
No. And I think I was like grinding for like 6 hours, and I got done playing, and I looked at the time and thought to myself, "What the fuck did I do with the past 6 hours? Like that wasn't fun." And it kind of sucks because I remember playing Ultima Online and all these other MMOs and really enjoying them, and now I just can't get into an MMO anymore. I just can't do it. I can't do the grind. Even with something like Elite Dangerous, I couldn't
When a
get
game
into the grind.
when a game becomes work, you
I
tend to lose.
felt that way for a long time because I remember playing WoW as a kid and not and not getting into it, and then I don't think I played another MMO until Neverwinter.
I
Did I-
haven't been able to go back to anything.
I don't remember getting you into anything else, Jeff. That might be right.
But I think the one that made me think of this was it's not even like full frustration. It's actually fun frustration. Is taking it back to Hotline Miami. Like, I mean, you're gonna fucking die in that game, but Jesus Christ, I think there was a point where I just kept dying over and over, probably like 40 or 50 times, and I'm like, I could fucking quit this right now, but I don't want to. Like,
You want that sweet release though, like when you finally get it.
It's fun frustration
Yeah,
That's-
you're playing for the finish.
That's like
for the sexual thrill.
Dwarf Fortress kind of takes that to its logical extreme. I mean,
Dwarf.
the catchphrase for that is pretty much losing is fun. You're going to lose. It's just how gloriously can you go down and burning, rubble and skin.
Like, what about like Dark Souls and shit?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, it can, if done properly, losing in a game can absolutely be fun. As long as you're learning from it, it's skill based, and you're getting better with it as you go on, and it's not, at least not all the time, not just the game fucking you out of whatever.
Yeah, it's when the game like intentionally starts, making things incredibly difficult for you, to which it becomes unfair.
It
is
needs
when
to make it
becomes
feel
really
like
frustrating.
your loss was your fault. It isn't. You can't be able to be like, oh well, it was the game's fault this happened. Like, no, you stood there, you didn't do something right that you should have. It's your fault, and that's what separates those good difficult games.
There's not a
from-
lot of games that punish you for being stupid like that, though. I mean, there are, but there's not a lot.
I was like, isn't that like the whole point of the platform hell genre? Just to punish you.
Like, what
regardless?
about what was
What about
that?
Bob?
What was that ROM hack of Super Mario World? That
Kaizo.
like Kaizo Mario?
Yeah, Kaizo.
Oh God.
Did
That-
you,
that
did
just-
you get
that was a
hard
lesson of
thinking about it? Did you ever play I Want to Be the Guy? I mean, Kaizo's
Yes.
kind of like low key.
Yeah, I
shit
remember
like
I
that.
Want to Be the Guy. I remember watching that before I actually played it and thought to myself, there's no way I'm gonna put myself through this
I
shit.
mean, it's gotten much more sadistic these days. So, but I can't remember any.
Like, why do we
partic-
put up with that though? Is my question.
that kind of game? There's
Yeah.
It's that sweet release.
there's
Like this,
there's masochists that really want to prove that it's a competition thing. They want to prove they can do it. Or
Like,
you
I'll
might
be
wanna
sitting
prove
here
to
getting
yourself.
pissed off at a game, and my girlfriend will be like, "Why do you play it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I
I've said the
can't."
same thing to you when we've been playing shit online. I'm like, why are you even playing, Jeff? It's just pissing you off. Just send that shit back to GameFly.
because easy games aren't satisfying. You know, it's like you
can
get
be,
it,
but-
when it's like handed to you. You know, it's like whatever. But when something's really difficult and you finally get it down, it feels like an actual accomplishment. Like I had to try and work for that. It's like, you know, when you cook your own food, you're like, oh, it tastes so much better than anything I can get anywhere else because you put effort into that. And that
Look,
took that.
I don't get
I
that
just
when I
go
cook
out.
my own food, but
Luke, you don't cook your own food.
yes, I do.
Putting a
I-
pizza in
I
the
actually-
oven does not constitute
I
as cooking.
kill.
I've asked my girlfriend,
Skin.
pizza and hot dogs are not cooking.
I kill, skin, marinate, and cook my own food.
I don't know.
That sounds illegal in Texas.
Actually, it's probably one of the only places it would be legal, but that's beside the point. The fuck were we talking about? Frustrating moments. The only times I can really specifically remember getting like frustrated with the game itself is shit like in the old Mega Man games with those timed disappearing blocks.
Oh,
that kind
yeah.
of shit just pisses me the fuck off.
Like, you really have to...
Like, yeah,
the game teaches you.
the game teaches you to hate it. That's what it's teaching you.
Didn't it... Was there a set pattern, or did it, like, change randomly,
No,
too?
it was a set pattern.
Okay, that would suck if it just changed randomly. Like, you had to be fucking lucky.
Yeah, it would be the equivalent of Christmas suddenly coming on December 10th one year. What about
Well-
you? What about you, Roger? Any other frustrating ones popping into your head?
Frustrating.
How about when
Not
you waste?
frustrating.
How about when you wasted your daily in Nuclear Throne last week?
Oh God. That's-
So we're streaming before the podcast last week, and Roger's playing Nuclear Throne and prepping for his daily. He's making a couple of runs, so he's warmed up, and he makes a run. It's gonna be his last
I'm
one.
like, yeah, I'm gonna warm up. This is gonna
Yeah,
be
this will be
great.
my last warm up.
I'm
I'll do
happy.
the daily after this. We'll see how far I get.
And then
Fucking-
someone asked me how long to the next daily, so I clicked on the daily to find out. Didn't realize. What do you know? I did my fucking daily, died, fucked up, like
Died,
real quick.
like early on too.
It's like it's equivalent to being like I'm going to work and then falling out of bed and dying. Like that's how bad it is.
Dude, how high up is your bed, bro?
It doesn't.
Got one of them bunk beds.
That's how difficult it was to make that run that bad. Like I had to fall and break my neck in the most freak accident way. But that's what happened.
I'm on my way to work. You're walking in the doors, and suddenly the automatic doors just slam shut on your neck.
Yeah, pretty much.
This isn't Final Destination.
I mean, we could turn it into Final Destination. We're imaginative enough, and those movies don't take too much thought and effort to make.
Nah,
Nah.
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 Nah,
Okay, did
see?
you, Jeff, anything else in particular popping into your mind?
I don't... I mean, taking it back to it earlier, I think from last week we were talking about just random bugs that... I don't know, things that always bugged me was... games with, like, open-world driving. Like, drivers never fucking knew how to drive right.
Oh, Han,
Like,
let me,
stopping
let
the
me...
middle of intersections, so I just fucking hit them doing 90.
Oh, somebody's honking. Let me get out of their way by driving directly into somebody else's way that causes them to get in his way.
Oh, you know what,
Just
Jeff?
bad
I can
coding.
think of what will make you frustrated too. Remember CS?
Yeah, you saying frustrating.
You have any frustrating CS moments? No one has those.
Anytime
That's a laugh.
the op is used against you.
No, because I was that asshole, so it felt good.
No, I said
Whatever.
against you. Used against you. That's I'm sorry. That's frustrating.
Use your words. Speak slowly.
I'm just trying
Drink
to
some
piss
water.
Jeff off now.
I'm gonna slit both your throats.
With gravy.
What?
Oh, man. That made no fucking sense.
I think I found the title card for our episode.
With
Makes
gravy.
no fucking sense.
No, just, well, I don't know. Like a gravy knife. gonna find a
Are you
gravy
making a new
knife.
title card for this one?
Oh yeah, that's what you wanted, man.
Oh, alright. Well, we can do that for now. Rotate title cards, sure. Behind the scenes information again, everybody. Welcome to how we work. We work off the cuff. We work blue. Put the kids to bed.
You can find us on the subreddit Breathing Information.
Oh. Alright, moving on from frustrating game moments, unless we can think of any that frustrate Jeff again. What is the game series that you know everything about? You could be considered an expert, a scholar on that series.
Jeff.
Well, Nuclear Throne for Roger.
Yeah, he knows how to activate the daily without even trying.
Yeah, it's so good at him. It's how fucking good.
Luke, how about you start us?
How about I start us? We're gonna have to keep going around because I can only think of one right now, but I know there's others, and I would have to say, I'm a pretty big authority on Dynasty Warriors, and
I could see that.
various Warriors spin-offs thereof.
And whenever I think I've only rented like 2 of them before, and so I didn't know fucking shit. You're the man to go to on that one.
Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned before, I'm a fucking whore for those games, and yeah, that's about all you.
Would
need
you like
know.
to explain why?
Why I'm a whore for 'em? They're the one thing I can turn to that's exactly the opposite of everything I say I like about gaming. They're mindless fun that I don't have to put any thought into. It's something I can just kill time, have a conversation. I could bang a chick and still play Dynasty Warriors at the same time and have it like no worse for the wear.
Well, you don't have to pay attention to her.
But at the same time, if you really want to, there is a challenge to be had there. They have some of the most mind-boggling ways for unlocking stuff that you would never think of, but like normally of anyway. It's God dang it in the fullest sense. So there's both. I guess it's because there's both extremes there. There's so much replayability trying to get stuff unlocked. There's so esoteric that you sometimes, you're taxing your mind to the point where you're like, how am I
Yeah.
supposed to figure that shit out? But at the same time, you can flip it back the other way and just put it on cruise control and massacre the fuck out of thousands of ancient Chinese or Japanese or Gundam or
Dirty
He-
knees.
helium.
And
Let's not be
Off-
racist, Jeff. Come now.
Let's not get my channel banned, Jeff.
Yes.
off. I said dirty knees. What the hell?
Yeah, that sounds vaguely racist.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah,
these.
are you a knee?
Would you quit that?
Off topic though, I think I think on my next paycheck I'm gonna pick up Hyrule Warriors though.
On your NES paycheck? You get a fucking paycheck in the form of an old school Nintendo?
No, it's my check is shaped as Ness from Earthbound.
Okay. There you go. So, Roger, what game or series would you consider yourself an authority on that you know everything about?
That would be the XCOM series. Like I said, we started playing it when I was real young, and when they stopped making them after like Terror from the Deep and all that, we went and even looked for like other games similar to it, like Alien Aftermath and things like that, trying to find that super hard
Did you play?
game that we loved.
Did you play Xenonauts?
So you know what? Yes, I did.
I know it's newer, but how was that one? I hear it's if you're an old school XCOM fan, that is actually the game to play.
It is.
Okay.
That's all there is to say about it. Yeah.
All right. Absolutely.
I mean, like, God, so much time.
You don't have to call me God. We've been over this. Not in public anyway.
God,
Jeff, what series are you an authority on?
Well, Luke knows. I don't know if Roger knows.
Okay.
I doubt it because we just met in a back way alley 2 days ago. But
While giving each
Luke.
other lazy hand
I need
jobs.
I need to pay rent.
You met
But-
while giving each other lazy hand jobs in the Sizzler bathroom.
I was gonna say Luke knows that he's an authority on what I'm an authority on is Silent Hill.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
And the only reason why is because when the first Silent Hill came out, it was so. You remember it was so like watered down here in the States, and
Yeah.
we found out that there was like a whole subplot to it.
Yeah. I do.
So I just did fucking research on
Jeff-
it. I
It's such an authority on Silent Hill. He turned me into an authority on Silent Hill. It became infectious.
What they don't tell you is even better than some of the games, honestly.
Well, in the speculation, they've left so much unanswered
Yeah, that's
too
true.
all this time is one of the great things about it. Ah, man, I might have to pass
Which
on
is-
this one and come back around on my next one, though.
There's a great segue from this topic, though.
Well, I don't think we're done here yet, because I think there's at least one other thing each of us can think of that we're probably an authority on.
Wasted opportunities that segues. Go on, Luke. What's yours?
Lowered expectation.
That's what everyone watching our videos thinks.
Yeah, that almost was that was almost the name too. What else am I an authority on? That's a tough one because I'm pretty knowledgeable on quite a few things, but I don't know that it edges into authority territory on too many of them.
You're an expert on edging, though.
Look, motherfucker,
On edging?
this is not the time or the place for that. All right.
We'll explain it to you later, Jeff.
Jeff knows what
No, I'm
edging
just
is.
I'm
He knows
I'm
what
making
it is.
sure you said edging.
Yes.
I know full well what edging is.
I am also an expert. I know full well.
I put that thing in the full Nelson.
I fucking hate both of you. Jeff, I know at least one other game you're an authority on because you've played it so many fucking times.
This is news to me.
Deadly Premonition.
Oh yeah. Well,
It's-
there's not much,
It's
you
not.
know, lore to it, but
It's
yeah.
not a series, but my God, if anybody needs to ever know anything about Deadly Premonition, you message that fucker right there. He will give you step-by-step detailed. He'll beam it straight into your mind. That's how good he is.
No, I'll just page you.
Yeah, Peja. Stojakovic?
I'll page you.
Oh.
He-
You know
he's
what?
from the early '90s. He still has a pager. He doesn't have a phone yet, but he'll page you.
I would say I'm a fairly big authority on the Saints Row series as well. That's another one that I've spent way more than my fair share of time with.
No, you're not. You're just a big fan of Gat.
Thank you for stopping yourself.
I've no.
You have a love tryst with Gat. You know it.
Well, who doesn't? It's Johnny fucking Gap, bro.
He's got a point.
Don't even act like you're not like hot for Gat. You're hot for teacher.
No, I like him, but you know
In a
I don't
sexual
like
way.
him.
It's impossible not to.
Roger, is there another one
We're
that
on.
you would consider yourself an authority on before we get too off the deep end on this?
I'm an authority on. Let's go to the next topic because we're going further in the deep end as we go.
Let's go to the movies.
Yes.
All right. So, Jeff kind of left this one vague, so I'd like Jeff to introduce this topic, and I'm going to give the 5 words he gave me on this. Favorite best in a game series. Jeff, would you like to elaborate?
Oh, okay. So like in a given series, such as Grand Theft Auto or Final
Are
Fantasy.
we just going to go down the fucking line on game series and toss out our...
No, not necessarily, but you know, just
Well, you know what?
that you can.
I feel like this is going
Unless
to
you
take
want to.
I feel like this is going to take a while.
We could make that its own series.
We definitely could. How about we do this as an intro to its own possible recurring event, and maybe choose 1 to 2 series each to cover right now,
Okay.
and we'll all put our input on our favorite or best of those. I'm gonna go with probably the big dog on this.
How about we make this into the segue and talk about, you know, have this segue into the roast.
Are you saying you'd like me to skip to the roast and come back?
Yes, that's what he
I
said.
don't. I don't fucking give a shit, dude. I'm just saying that would be
Don't call me
a
Booed.
tie-in.
Don't call me Booed. I would actually
I
like.
was saying Boo earns.
He prefers Bay than Boo, personally.
Dude, I fucking hate that word so much.
Get the fuck out of here.
I want to strangle the word, not just the people who say it, but the word itself.
What's
Yeah.
got you? What's wrong, babe? Why don't you like it?
Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking cut your throat at work tomorrow. It's gonna happen. It'll be a headline. Um,
Haha. Go on.
yeah, let's do this a little back asswards and start with the roast because I'm really excited to get to that.
He's
So,
wet, ladies and gentlemen.
The sacred cow that's going on the spit this week. If you're unfamiliar, and I'm not going to give this intro every single time, I'm going to expect you to know at some point. What this is we take a classic or revered game and we just do our best to shred the holes that are legitimately in it. Little hyperbole might be in there every now and then. This week's cow to the spit is going to be the first Resident Evil. I think it's a very well-known and very beloved title, and I think it has more than its fair share of problems. But I don't want to start this one. I'd like Jeff to start this one.
Ah, crap. How?
I had Roger
What's
start
in
the
the
last
name?
one, so...
Mr. Authority, go on.
Yeah, come on, Mr. Authority. on survival horror games and...
Okay, get fucked.
Are you the best?
I like one
Around?
particular.
Alright,
I'm-
let's put it to the spit. Let's roast this thing, legitimately.
I am a person that didn't really like the series until 4 anyway. I didn't even really start playing it until the 4th one. I think I went back and played the second one just like a few years ago. I mean, you're talking about a series that had like some of the worst voice acting of all time.
almost a Jill sandwich.
Yeah, that was.
Not
That
to
was-
mention, not to mention those amazing opening FMVs to the original.
I do want to take that off topic real quick though. I do like how they referenced that in the Revelations too.
Oh yes,
I don't.
I heard about
you
that.
played it, Luke, but
I heard about it. I didn't. I did not play it because I don't agree with making Resident Evil episodic. But that's a topic for another day.
she made that reference in that too. So I thought that was at least a nice callback. But
I should give this to you, the master of unlocking.
and I'm sure Roger has a lot to say about it too, because I remember he talked about it last week. But
Yes, Roger. Why don't you clue us into a piece to give Jeff a moment to think? Because he's clearly not ready for this.
put me on the spot.
Controls. Remember the
Damn it!
controls?
Don't steal mine.
Oh no, I was hoping Jeff wouldn't say it.
Actually, that was the first thing I thought of when we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah,
'cause I mean, like,
absolutely.
controls are so janky, and it's one of those funny things where like now when I play a Resident Evil game, I want it to be janky, but because it gives me like an artificial fear. Like the fear in the game wasn't always because this is hard, I might die. It's like I'm having a hard time getting through this hallway,
I'm
so I'm
struggling
going to
with
this.
die.
Yeah.
So like artificially made it more frightening than it really was.
I've been walking through this hallway like a 3 a.m. drunk.
Yeah, so part of the terror was like,
Not
can I
having
make
full
it to my
control.
car? I'm so
Isn't-
drunk. Like,
Isn't that where the term tank controls came from, or was that an earlier game?
It was pretty much coined around that in Silent Hill. Yes. But yeah, I absolutely agree. The tank controls, while an argument can definitely be made for giving you that sense of helplessness and a little less control, and that adds to a survival horror atmosphere, it does not, under any circumstances, change the fact that those controls are,
shit?
yeah, they're garbage. My asshole controls better, and there's no control to my ass. So
If you say
I
so.
think.
my sphincter's
Well,
low
I'll let
shutter
Luke
speed.
go before I bring up something else. But
He took mine, but having jokingly mentioned it earlier, I would like to point out that those FMVs were some of the absolute worst I've ever seen.
Yet the best.
oh man, I could Mystery Science Theater those for like days on end. They're so bad. But definitely like those and looking back, the cutscenes, graphics in general. Obviously, it's a PS1 game. It's shit. Most of
Yeah.
them were, but and it's
For the
early-
time, though, that shit scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, and then you look at it now and you can't tell what it is.
Look at it now, and it looks like I'm looking at like a melted candle.
You started melted candles often? I mean, that seems to be a pretty specific comparison.
Well, I have a birthday once a year. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Wait, you get one a year?
Yeah.
Jeff, go ahead.
I'm sure it was to accentuate the horrorness of it, but I always hated the fact that you had a limited number of saves.
Oh yeah, the typewriter system with the ink and all that nonsense, Jeff. Is that what we're referring
If you
to?
had accidentally put, the ink, the ribbon in one of the storage crates, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Be scared.
I mean, to an extent, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's artificial difficulty and frustration. So
I
can
guess.
agree with that.
I guess if you make your zombies, as slow as old people fuck, you might as well have some sort of a challenge.
Do you often watch old people fuck? Do you have first-hand knowledge of this?
I've heard stories.
You've heard them?
Yes.
Your neighbors?
There's
Quite
some
loud.
boards, unfortunately,
Penthouse
he likes to
letters.
go to. You know,
Penthouse letters.
dear Penthouse. You wouldn't believe what happened to me.
So I was just walking along getting my mail, and suddenly I heard two old people. Okay, so Luke, I heard you have a brand new idea.
I have a brand new idea? Oh,
I guess
yes!
for this topic.
My idea, that's right. Roger, what was your other complaint about it?
Let's go.
He's just
go.
deferring to people now.
Yeah.
No, I've got one. I do
Yeah,
actually-
great
I do-
answer. Good
Oh,
answer.
Fuck content.
I-
You.
I do actually have one. I have my issues with the story. It's very ham-fisted in a lot of ways. It definitely led enough plot threads to make a good series out of, but that's slowly gotten more and more ridiculous over the years. And West.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, how many different
Fucking-
viruses do they have now? They had like the T virus, the G virus, the H virus.
I think there's 26 because that's how many alphabet letters there are, and then they started like.
Are you being serious?
No, I'm fucking with you.
Okay, I haven't went in depth to everything. I've heard
There's like 3
the
or 4.
T and the G virus.
There's like 3 or 4, I think. At
The
this
G
point.
virus. Yes.
That makes you ghetto as fuck.
Yes.
But.
And then they brought
thought
the
if
whole
it's-
Ouroboros thing.
my point was more actually just like Wesker. He can survive anything, man. It's amazing how many times he's died, and come back. He's got comic villain level of survivability, man.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm impressed, but it's also stupid as shit. It's like every game comes out, I'm like, all right, where's Wesker coming in it? You know, I was.
And then they made it.
I
Then
was-
they made it worse in Revelations 2 when they had Wesker's sister.
Wow, that's bottom of the barrel right there. Next time it'll be Wesker's dad. Surprise, he's alive. He's also a tyrant. He's also Chris's dad. Surprise, they're brothers.
It's like
7
a really.
minutes.
It's like a really bad novella. You know.
Yeah, that's what it's evolved into. Voice acting aside, started decently and a little ham-fisted and cliche, but it's just ultimately it just devolved into every horror movie trope.
So
you can
as the
think of.
world turns,
yeah, with
like
every
drama as far as the story goes.
yeah. But
Well, you can't really shape out, typical zombie fare, and I think that's why they went with the whole Ouroboros thing, because it wasn't, typical zombies. Now they had like cult
Las
members and
Plagas.
shit. Yeah.
My only comment on that is Leon. That's all I have to say.
Are you saying you don't like Leon?
No.
What about Leon?
That's what I hated about that game. It's a different one.
Oh.
Going forward a little bit, just hearing Leon like every fucking 10
Oh,
seconds.
Ashley?
Yes.
Let's back up for a second before we get into games that might be featured in the future on this segment.
I know. I just thought about it and felt that
Yeah, no, it's
as far as an earlier segment, frustrating things, Ashley.
yeah, definitely
Frustrating.
escort missions in general.
No, that's fine. Ashley. Like,
No, fuck
that.
escort missions. I'm legitimately saying that. Back to the roast.
That's part of it.
Yeah,
We're roasting it.
I want to say, as much as I have a guilty pleasure of loving Wesker as a character now, he's a fucking awful villain. I just want to point that out. He's just terrible as a villain for this series.
I mean, he's intimidating and all, but I mean, he's
He's not intimidating. He's an idiot.
well. I mean, Well, they portrayed him to be intimidating, at least in the last one, but
Oh, they tried. They get an E for effort.
I that's not a that's not a grade.
Exactly.
I give you a Z for fail.
Go ahead with what you were gonna say. You seem to have something on your mind. One of you two did, anyway.
Roger. Bueller.
What?
Bueller.
Sorry, I was even checking.
Oh, can we
what?
talk for a second about whoever designed that mansion? By the way, like going.
In the first one?
Yeah, going.
How many grandfather clocks do you need?
Not only that, going to the bathroom has to be just the biggest hassle. You need like 3 halves of the rooster key and a crank, and yeah, it's,
Some people don't appreciate modern design anymore, Luke. You're obviously one of those people.
that's modern.
Make sure you lock up before you go. Here's the fucking pallet of keys.
And remember, you need both halves of a key before it'll actually unlock. But this whole part just fits in here. I don't need the other part of the pendant. Okay.
Do you want it to be easier to get mugged and someone to steal your house keys? No. Alright?
Yeah, you can put the gem of Osiris into your keys before they actually unlock anything.
Yes, of course.
The stupidest fucking shit ever. Alright, I'm done ranting about that.
Was it scary though?
Yeah.
At the
for me,
time-
like, child me, yeah.
Looking at it now, it's cheesy as fuck. At the time, a little bit. I think it's... We had this talk about Five Nights at Freddy's as well. I think it's more tense than it's actually scary. I think I'm at a point now where I can make that distinction. I think it's got a lot of good tension. I don't think it's actually legitimately...
I mean, it's
Scary.
obviously separate than psychological horror, you know.
Yeah. And obviously that's also relative, but I think by and large it's just more of a tension game than it is a scary game, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
Oh.
I at least when the fucking dogs jumped through the window, that
Eh,
made me poop.
That
one
was
of the
terrifying.
one of the
Yeah.
few good jump scares, definitely.
I told you, that zombie turned around in his face. I was like, man, that's a scary zombie. That's a child.
He turned
Now I'm like, man.
he turned around in his face.
yes, he did.
That's
Oh, half of
really
it.
impressive that he was able to turn around into his own face.
I
It's
can't
just-
English. I can't English. Let's go on.
You can-
Ah,
I want a whole segment where you're just like completely flubbing up sentences.
so how about sound? How about sound design? I mean, obviously we've covered that the voice acting was just the tits, man. Best ever, 10 out of 10. But
Well, in the old games, not so. I don't know.
you have a bone to pick
I
with
did
it.
like the music of 4 though, but that's not roasting it.
We're not talking about Resident Evil 4. We're talking about the original.
We're talking about Resident Evil as a whole.
How, you know, I get that it was kind of a tension thing and also to do loading and not have it be boring, but goddamn those door screens every time you open a fucking door, especially if you're running halfway across the house. So
That-
irritating after a while, man.
The one thing that always bugged me about older Resident Evils, and I'm sure you guys have the same complaint, is the fact that you couldn't actually just walk upstairs. There had to be a separate loading.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
gugunk, gugunk, gugunk.
Like, just fucking go up the I get the need for a loading screen.
Going up
Okay,
the sideways
fine.
stairs.
Have some innovative loading screen, but don't make me fucking go up one stair at a time.
At least it's not.
Yeah.
I'll give it that it's not Sonic 06 levels of loading, but it's pretty bad.
Oh no, there's a zombie behind me. Dunk. Dunk.
Like, Jill, you're dead. This happened. You were gone.
Let me examine this door for 5 minutes.
God,
That's not
so
gonna fucking
horrible.
attract attention.
That sound scared me out of y'all. Please don't ever do that again.
I don't make any guarantees. I mean, music was good. I'll give it that. Decent ambient music. Nothing like that I specifically remember off the top of my head, but but music overall wasn't bad. But the rest of the sound design and loading design and shit like that. Could've used
What
some
about that ambient zombie sound? Well, it's better than Deadly Premonition, at least.
I don't know. I kind of like the ones in Deadly Premonition.
I want to die.
It's. I mean,
Asshole.
it's something. It might be fucking cheesy and stupid, but it's something, you know.
Sometimes cheesy's good. I'm just saying.
When is it good, Roger?
When is it good? Command
Please
and Conquer
enlighten
Red
me.
Command and Conquer Red Alert.
When it's
That
on
was
my
ridiculous.
when it's on your pizza.
That too. Oh god, I'm hungry.
We should have a segment called Roger Likes.
Command and
Conquer.
Conquer. Do-do-do.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I think that's Roger's guilty pleasure series, by the way.
Yeah, that is. That is.
It's,
don't care how
good.
cheesy.
It's good gameplay, but I think everything else about that is guilty pleasure, and I think that qualifies it for Roger.
Yeah, that's true.
But
You're a
yeah, I
despicable
mean,
human being.
Resident Evil did things right for its time. I still don't even view it as groundbreaking as a lot of people did, mostly because those people weren't familiar with Alone in the Dark or Clock Tower. But
Oh, Clock Tower. I want to talk about that so bad one of these days.
we will. We definitely will. Guaranteed.
Only we had a show.
Yeah, if only we had a show, you know.
If I had a hammer.
It is a product of its time, and its time is long past. They did a good job reinventing it for the GameCube, and making some things that didn't work before work better. That's definitely the way to experience it, but the original just... leave it in the past.
Could you honestly go back to the original right now and
fuck
play it?
no.
If I was drunk, like
I don't know,
I
I-
was like, I need to be drunk.
I had the I have the GameCube version of the first one on my Wii right now.
That's such a
And,
better version.
Huh?
That's such a better version.
Well, yeah. I mean, they addressed a lot of the glaring issues,
Like the voice acting.
like the game in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were almost a
I mean,
Jill sandwich.
as much as we've talked about it before, Jeff, I actually never was like a big fan of the original Resident Evil. 2 was the one that I was actually a fan of. But the remake on the GameCube definitely did some justice to it and showed why it had a place as a classic. It's just did it better. But the original is just no.
You know what I loved? Resident Evil 4. Like, I love the title screens. They're great.
Resident Evil Giraffe Sex.
You just have to like extend it out and break up the words as you say them too.
Yeah.
You can't just go with it.
Resident Evil Revelations 2 Episode 1.
Attack of the Clones.
I'm honestly surprised that they didn't do that, but
But no, absolutely. That guy, that title screen announcer, man, give him jobs everywhere. I want him to announce the title screen on every game I ever play. Like, Hitman, Blood Money. Mega Man X.
50 Cent, Blood of the Sun.
Alright, moving back to the topic we were discussing earlier, that we will neatly discuss for about maybe 30, 30 more minutes. I'm going backwards in time now. If chat, the few of you that are here that we apparently all know today, have any questions, feel free to drop them. But we will go back to favorite, best in game series. It'll probably become something of a recurring topic the more we think about it. So Jeff, let me kick this off. Let me drop the big dong on the
oh
table.
shit.
Let me drop the big dong on the table. Favorite and best Zelda games.
Oh man, you're going right for the jugular.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite and best, obviously not the same.
Yes, clearly.
I think. Let me start with the best because that's probably going to open up a lot of fucking argument on it. But
Okay.
I think the best for my money and I have to kind of think about this for a hot second because I don't
It's
want to
like,
get
don't
this
have a
wrong.
lot of money. So think about it.
No, let me go back. I think my favorite is God damn it! I hate being put on the spot like that. It's
We
hard to
love
say
it
because
so.
there's a lot of. Okay, let me put it this way: my favorite and best is neither of them are going to be Ocarina of Time. Although I know that's going to be one of Luke's options.
Best.
I think the best is probably for me, in my opinion, Wind Waker.
The best?
Um, the best.
I will say Wind Waker HD. I would agree. I think
Yeah.
there was
I'll
way
put that
too
up
much with the Triforce in the original to put it as best, but I think they fixed that particular issue.
I felt more of exploration and adventure than I did in Ocarina.
I felt more of adventure.
I still think my favorite though is Majora's Mask, and I have a lot of problems, and that's why it's not the best to me. But I out of the two 64 ones, that's the one I actually remember the most, just because I had more. I think I had more fun with it.
You
And I know,
would, you
Luke, you'll have
depressing son of a
absolute
bitch.
nothing but argument with that, because you didn't like Majora's Mask. But
I don't have a problem with the game itself. It's
I
solidly
mean, it's hard to.
it's solidly made, and I think it's a good game. I just cannot personally get past the time limit, and I don't care if you can reset it.
No,
with
I
that and all
understand.
that.
I know.
I feel too rushed in a game series that I feel is about exploration.
And to just quickly add, I want to point out that I think pretty much all of them are a tie for for my favorite, just because I think out of any game series ever, Zelda is probably my favorite game series ever. And I don't think I really played any Zelda game that I didn't like, and that even includes Twilight Princess. I actually like
Do you
that
want
a
me?
lot.
Do you want me?
Okay.
Do you want me to mention some Zelda games you didn't like?
Well, first of all, the CDI ones are not canon.
I'm not talking about
And-
the CDI ones.
With the well, okay, I take it back. I didn't really like the Oracle ones. I didn't play Minish Cap.
I'm not talking about those either.
Maybe I'm forgetting something here.
You are
Refresh my
forgetting
memory.
something. A couple of games called Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
Well, first of all, I didn't play a lot of Phantom Hourglass, although I didn't hate it. I didn't get very far in it because it was not. I wouldn't say it was boring. It was.
But it was.
I didn't actually play Spirit Tracks, although I heard it was more of the same. I didn't have a problem with them. They're lower on the list.
I don't think you played enough of them to understand how poor those games were.
They're on my R4. I've been meaning to get back to them one of these days.
Yeah,
Try to
let's
finish them
mention
just
that
because.
on the fucking podcast, Jeff. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I also want to say that I torrent all of my movies and shows.
Oh my god.
Get fucked.
Well-
I am the best.
Welcome to the last episode of the Royal Ramble, everybody. Roger, why don't you go ahead and tell us your favorite and best Zelda games now that Jeff and I are done arguing about the DS ones.
Give me just 1 second. I'm eating buffalo wings.
What the fuck?
I told you earlier I was hungry.
All right,
okay,
Luke, go ahead.
okay. No, I'm good now. I swallowed them. What I like different ones for different reasons. Like, my favorite one to play was Ocarina of Time. It was so much fun growing up playing that. And I don't know how much of that's like the rose tintedness of it, or truthfully, like it was that good.
It's probably a little rose tinted, but it does hold up quite decently,
Hmm.
especially in the DS re-release.
And then my favorite for a different reason, I actually really liked Twilight Princess,
Okay.
and I like the art direction in it a lot. You know.
I liked the darker style of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like if there's anything, I could tell you not the biggest fan of it, Jeff, but I really like the art direction in there. Like I thought it was nice to see.
I can tell you right off the top of my, or not. I can tell you right now what Luke had a problem with.
I fucking hate
part.
approximately 35 to 40% of Twilight Princess because every part that the wolf was involved in was just god awful. Except the only part of it I liked, including the wolf that had the wolf in it, was the part where you fight Giant Pig Ganon as Wolf Link. That was the only
That
good
was
wolf part.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was the only good wolf part.
I still think you'd like Skyward Sword if you went back and finished it.
You think I would?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get past all that backtracking, bro. There's like literally
It's understandable.
3.5
Just-
areas
yeah,
in the game.
3 worlds and
Yeah, one family.
you have to hit.
But no, absolutely. In my my answers, mine. Whew, this is gonna get fun now.
Best Ocarina of Time. Favorite. Minish
Ocarina of
Cap.
Time. No,
Majora's Mask.
Four Swords Adventures.
no, I'm not a fan of Majora's Mask. I love Four Swords Adventures, but it's not my favorite. No, it's probably top 5, but. The best I do think
I
is
forgot about
Ocarina.
Link's Awakening.
I think Ocarina. I think Ocarina is one of the ones that's held up the best. You can make an argument for Link to the Past as well. I'm not a Link to the Past fan, so I'm not going to make that argument. I do think it is a very good game.
Oh shit! I forgot about Link to the Past.
But I have my
God damn it!
I have my problems with it, but I think Ocarina's held up almost better than the rest of the games. But my favorite would have to be Wind Waker. Actually, I absolutely love Wind Waker. I love the art as you were mentioning a second ago about Twilight Princess. I love the Wind Waker art style. After Wind Waker came out, it got real hard for me to see Link looking anything like anything else but how he looked in Wind Waker. That was Link to me after that, you know? It suited him so well. He was so expressive without using words. It's part of the reason I started maining Toon Link and Smash, you know?
I can't stand Toon Link.
Yeah, I can tell. But I absolutely love Wind Waker. Other notable entries would be that you didn't mention would be Link's Awakening, which was a fantastic
I said that a
game.
second ago. I love Link's
I
Awakening.
didn't hear you say Link's Awakening. Minish Cap is a very good one as well. And Jeff, did you ever get around to playing through it?
No, I need to find an easy way to play it.
Yeah, well, and I actually love the Oracle games too. I'm kind of a whore for the 2D portable Zeldas as it stands. I do not like the DS games, as I already made clear, other than Link Between Worlds, which was a very solid entry.
Yeah, Link Between Worlds was fucking great.
Skyward Sword
But
had
again,
a lot
I
of...
feel like you would have to almost... I don't know. I feel like you needed to enjoy Link to the Past to really, really get into.
Oh, absolutely not. I played
Link Between
through
Worlds.
Link Between Worlds and enjoyed it the whole time, and I was not a fan of Link to the Past.
That's a
So
shame.
it's absolutely not necessary, though it does help, I will tell you that. But that being said, Skyward Sword, you mentioned that. That's what I was trying to think of. It had a lot going for it, and then you started cycling through the same areas, and it got old real
I think it's
quick.
I think it's the story that really brings it together. I realize the repetition and the going back, but
It's an origin story, and those are always fun if done well, and I'll give you that. But like the game,
especially
itself
the
just
final.
suffers.
I forget his name.
I'm not even gonna try
but-
to remember it, but I know who you're talking about. You're not talking about the thing whose toes you attack, right? You're talking about the
No.
actual
No,
boss.
I'm talking
That
about.
sounds amazing.
Shows you how little I cared for that game. I don't remember
Yeah.
bosses I fought.
The guys with toes, you would attack them.
Yeah.
The Imprisoned is what you're thinking
Yes,
of.
I'm thinking of the Imprisoned. That's right. And God, that was such a stupid fucking reoccurring boss.
I'm thinking of like Destruction or something. He had a name.
Destro. No, wait, that was GOK. Desire.
That sounds like a weird band name. Like he had a name. Like, oh, so weird.
His Infernal Majesty.
That That too.
Gears that move.
That sounds like an STP.
Gears that move, yeah. What was that other band that we became
Hey, I
afterwards?
liked listening to him a few years ago, and then I stopped listening.
There's so many layers of subtext in that. Um, but yeah, the Zelda series is. Oh, and of course, nobody mentioned it, but the original was also very, very good. And I am a fan of Adventure to Link, which a lot of people are not, but I think it was actually a very good game. Just quite a
Wait,
bit different.
you liked what?
Adventure to Link, the sequel, second one?
Oh,
A lot of people were
Okay,
fans
yeah.
of it, but I did like it. It is a balls hard game, and I can understand
Oh,
the
yeah.
barrier to entry, though. But yeah, as a whole, the series is very solid, very good. I have my particular issues with certain entries, and I have my bias leaning the exact opposite way on other entries. But overall, Zelda's a good series, man.
what about the
Except
new
for the
one
water
coming out
temple.
next
Fuck
year?
the water temple.
Everything I've seen from what little limited gameplay has been shown, gets my dick so hard, dude. I could. They said they
Not
could
to
cut.
be
They
technical.
they said they could cut glass last week on the games they were excited for. I could cut diamond with mine.
I could cut obsidian. No, I want to point out Roger just said something about the water temple. Are you saying that facetiously, or did you really have a legitimate bone to pick with the water temple?
Are we talking about Ocarina's water temple?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a
It's
little
not-
unclear.
It's not as bad as everybody fucking says it is.
It isn't. It's a little unclear at times, but it's just it's a maze is all it is. It's not a laid out place like every other temple in there. It's very much a maze.
The problem with
I
trying
think
to
if we're
hit some
talking
of those
about water
shots-
temples, the one from what the fuck did I just?
Marcus, we
from
have
Major-
to save Maria. Sorry.
From Majora's Mask is worse.
Yeah. Yes, that's the what's the name of that place? That's the Zora one, right?
I can't remember
I
what
can't
it is.
remember the name of it, but I know which one you're talking about. I'm having a huge brain fart on actual levels right now. The Ocarina of Time Water Temple gets a lot more flack than it deserves. Plus, it had a ballin' mini boss in Dark Link
Yeah,
or
That
Shadow.
was
That
the
is
best
true.
boss.
So, yeah, that's our take on the Zelda series. How much time do we have now that we've rambled on that? We have 15 minutes, guys. We can do one more series to give people an idea of what this is going to be like. Any ideas? Anybody want to pitch out like another good series to pull favorites and bests from?
how about? No, I don't want to go there yet. That's gonna take
for another day?
at least an hour.
Oh god.
How about? Shit. I'm like
Shit.
looking at my
I'm not
library to
familiar
get
with
some
that
ideas.
I'm not familiar with
What
that
about
series.
Sonic?
Oh, Sonic.
Alright, okay,
That's
yeah,
a good one.
we can
We
go
do
with Sonic.
Worst? Sonic? No, I'm just kidding. We all know that Sonic 06 and Sonic Boom in an eternal tie.
Yep.
No, what? I'm gonna differ from opinion on you.
Oh yeah?
And the worst Sonic game to me is Sonic Spinball.
I like Sonic Spinball, so I would completely disagree with you. I think it's
Because
really
it didn't feel like a Sonic game. At least the other ones were trying.
But if you're gonna pull that in, you gotta pull in like Knuckles Chaotix. You gotta pull in.
You
Sonic,
already
3D
know I don't like
Blast,
Knuckles. You
Sonic,
already know I don't like Knuckles. So
Robotnik's
it's fine.
Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah.
That Riders game on
Yeah,
the Kinect.
that's.
Hey man, Sonic's all about going fast. Let's not talk about riders.
See, that's a fallacy. Sonic is a platformer that rewards you for
Sonic is all
skill.
about chili dogs and keeping.
Sonic's
People-
character was written as that. The games themselves.
He's a freedom fighter. You know.
the
I'm just
games
saying.
themselves are platformers that reward you for being good at them by giving you that speed, but it's not the purpose.
It was
of
a speedrunning game before speedrunning was a thing.
It was a game built to reward speedrunners. Yes, exactly. It was
gambling.
It's creator was really into getting better at Mario levels and running them faster and faster, and decided to build a game that rewards that, but not. That's not the start of the game. That's after you get good. You just get this huge sense of speed. And then you have real speedrunners that just completely break it and go through all the walls and shit, which, there's that. But That's neither here nor there. Best and favorite Sonic games. I think it's a hard argument here on this one, Jeff.
Sonic 2.
Sonic 2 would be my off-the-cuff choice for best Sonic game, and I still think it's definitely up there, but I think it's a hard-fought battle with Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
You guys are gonna hate me.
Sonic
Best.
Spinball.
Favorite?
Sonic Heroes.
Oh my God, no.
Sonic
The f-
Heroes.
Oh my God,
Can I,
hope
before
you-
we really get into this, can I just stop for a second and say that those games, Adventure and Onwards, have some of the best butt rock of all time? Alright, good. No argument.
I mean, I
Continue
guess.
on.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say anything to that.
I mean, it's
I
butt
think
rock.
my-
It's cheesy as fuck, but it is so good.
I think my favorite is still Sonic 3.
Sonic 3. I can now with the Knuckles half of it, or just the original Sonic 3 half.
Just the original Sonic 3.
Okay.
Best?
Sonic 06. 10 out of 10. Game of the year. Every year.
Sonic Adventure 2.
You think that's the best? Oh,
Maybe I have
there's-
those backwards.
There are so many issues with that game that I think
I
pulls it down.
know.
I
but-
love that game. Don't get me wrong. But
No,
it's-
you know what? I think I'm gonna actually switch it up. Sonic 3 is the best.
No,
What I
no,
meant
double
to say.
down. Double down, Jeff. Double down.
Don't listen to him.
switch.
You don't have.
I like double downs.
You don't
I
have-
don't have any money.
You don't have a royal flush right now. Don't double down. That's just stupid. He's just trying to make you lose more money.
I think my favorite's actually tied for both Sonic Adventures. I had a lot of fun as a kid with both of them. As much the first Sonic Adventure was absolutely fucking broken,
Here we go.
and the
They're
developers
both
had
broken.
no idea of what an Aztec temple looked like. But
They're both broken as fuck. But all right, here we go. Best Sonic, the Chow Garden.
that's
I'm kidding.
best Sonic, the Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh God, no. Can we all agree that that game was just a tremendous pile of poop?
Yes.
is-
I don't know. I
okay.
didn't play it either.
It had branching paths and like 37 different endings, Jeff.
That's exactly what you want.
10 out of 10. Game of the year. No, best and favorite. Best for me is a tie between Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 / Knuckles. Which they're basically the same game, they just got cut in half. I think those two are like the epitome of Sonic doing it right. Favorite.
Yes. What's your favorite?
I'm probably gonna have an unpopular opinion here, and if we ever like get more viewers, there's gonna be a lot of people.
Oh
that
God,
will
I
yell
know
at
what
me.
you're gonna say.
Sonic Generations.
Yep.
Why?
I was gonna say that or Colors.
Because Sonic Generations, in my opinion, brought maybe not the best of both versions of it, but very strong versions of both the 3D and the 2D gameplay.
It was very much a fan service game.
Yeah, it was a fan service game, don't get me wrong, but I think it brought both of... It was the one time recently that I feel Sega actually understood what the fans wanted and gave them that. And not just as fan
and then
service,
went
but...
right back to fucking making bullshit.
Yeah, went right back to fucking making... Well, that technically, Boom wasn't Sega, that was Big Red Button, but... that aside, though...
All up in Big Red Button's ass,
I
aren't you?
fucking hate Big Red Button. That aside, though, it just felt like for a second there, the Sega of old was back and was listening. Like they gave us the good 3D gameplay. Maybe not the best it was ever was, but good 3D gameplay and good 2D gameplay. It was best of both worlds for a fleeting moment before they promptly went back to snorting coke and whatever they do in their fleet.
That's a reference.
Yeah, that's a reference. And for our fans out there who, I won't spoil it. If you know it, like, comment, subscribe.
Oh my God, we just lost 5 people.
Actually,
um, but yeah, for me it's my favorite because like I said, best of both worlds. I get really good 2D Sonic gameplay. I get really good 3D Sonic gameplay. Both versions of what I do like from that series. So, Roger.
All right.
Did you cover a favorite yet or a best yet? I don't feel like we've heard from you.
Sonic 2 is the both, man. Like
Sonic 2.
the nice thing about that is like, because to me, I fell in love with it when it was 2D.
Uh-huh.
Back in the day when it was Mario versus Sonic, and the difference is that Mario was slow and Sonic was on fucking speed. Literally, he
Yeah,
probably
he's-
was
he's-
fucking doing meth like in the back.
He was doing uppers.
Dude,
definitely.
it was that blast processing.
Oh my god. Can we all just, like, drop it? Sega made bad advertising decisions. We can all move on with our lives.
But Sega does. what
Sega does
Nintendo
what
don't.
Nintendo don't.
Yeah.
Genesis does what Nintendo don't, first off. Alright, if you're gonna quote it, get it right.
Mhm.
Same diff.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, and I like the 2-player mode where it was just going back and forth, and I remember playing with my sisters and trying to beat them in it. And then if you had like a fake 2-player single-player mode where you could
Hey.
give the controller to like the kid you didn't want to play, and be like, yeah, you're helping me, kind of. Beat
Tails
Tails.
was useful as fuck, though, dude.
Yeah,
He was, yeah, he was. But also, like, if you didn't really feel like sharing, you could hand someone that and be like, yeah, you're playing. It was fun.
Basically, Roger, you're just telling the world
I'm
right
just an
now that
asshole.
you were an asshole, exactly.
It's fun because I'm a dick.
It's like when you give him the unplugged controller, right? Like,
Yeah.
no, you're totally you're that guy, totally.
Uh,
But no, that was yeah. I think we're all fairly in agreement that the strongest Sonic ever was the 2D era,
yes.
specifically 2 and 3, and we have our favorites outside of that possibly, but definitely, yeah. I'm surprised nobody brought up at all Sonic 4 episode 1 and 2.
Mm.
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 All right,
Mm.
well, good night. We'll leave you with that. No, it actually is just about quitting time for us this time around. I know. Don't cry yourselves to sleep too hard. We love you. We'll be back next week as well.
all,
But,
all 4 of you.
for those of you watching on the live stream,
4? Did you see how many people watched it?
I said for those of you watching on the live stream. God damn it, Jeff. Let me finish my sentences. In the future, I will be giving a little closure out there for those of us who want to find on either side. If you watch us on the live stream, I'm going to get into the habit of doing this. You can find the recording of this. We'll be putting it up on our YouTube, where you will also find our Let's Play work and clip show type stuff and all that stuff that we do. Jeff very soon here, as mentioned this time around, we'll be doing one of the Hotline Miamis, as well as some other stuff we got in the pipe now that I fixed some technical issues on my end. That is youtube.com/special set of skills. You can also just look Filthy Casuals. You should find us pretty easy. We're the assholes. If you're watching,
Yeah, make sure it's Filthy Casuals and not the Filthy
yeah,
Casuals.
not the Filthy Casuals. We don't use pejorative nouns. That's not a pejorative noun.
And we've lost the English majors.
I'm gonna kill our audience yet.
They were never here.
YouTube.com/special set of skills. No A at the beginning of that. And if you are watching on the YouTube on the recording, which I will probably be bugging my friends with the link again to make them watch it and give us some views and that kind of stuff. But down the road, if you are the ones who are watching this on the recording and you want to catch us live when we stream the podcast, or want to see what Roger does when he's not hanging out with us dickholes, you can find
Sign
him.
up for our newsletter.
Yeah, you can sign up for our newsletter and like, comment, subscribe, all of that, please. But you can find the live stream of the podcast, as well as Roger's Nuclear Throne horrible runs and his Binding of Isaac stuff and whatever else comes up in the future at twitch.tv/ggRogerV. And yeah, that's where you find him. Me and Jeff also occasionally stream. You can find us occasionally at twitch.tv/rockingmonk or twitch.tv/subliminalseg. And I will put those links in there.
Oh my god, if you're gonna say it right.
No, fuck you. I'm going to put the links in the description, and they can go from there.
Like,
I guess if you're
subscribe.
just butchering the English language, you might as well
I am
stick
going to
with it.
butcher the fuck out of the English language before I'm done, Jeff. You give me 2 more weeks, and we will be speaking another. We'll be speaking Klingon.
I smell a divorce.
Yeah, I get the dog. That being said, thank you for joining us, those of you who are here tonight. Thank you for joining us, those watching later on the recording, and we hope to see you next week now that I've given you information on where to actually find us. All that aside, any last thoughts, Jeff, Roger, before I close this out here?
No, it's been
Vagina boob.
God damn it, Jeff.
This is why we can't have nice things. This exactly is why we cannot have nice things, because of Jeff. That being the case, thank you, one and all. Good night. We will see you next week, same time, same place, as I have just given you all the information on. Have a good one.